I've been thinking lately about the recent happenings in the country, the hardship, the terrorism, killings, executive, judicial, and legislative recklessness, the fact that nobody can even can depend on government anymore to actually do the right thing, the corruption in high places, the high cost of living due to the negative anti-people policies of the present administration. But this is even just part of the problem, not the main problem. This is just part of the problem. The major issue now is that we as a people, amidst this suffering, act like everything is fine. We only talk a little and everything, we leave everything. For what exactly? Why are we suffering in silence? Why are we dying in silence? Could it be that we are mentally defeated? Sometimes we just claim it's a flex. Nigeria, we can chest anything. Trust me, it's not a flex. No, it's not something to brag about that you can navigate every situation and you cannot even make moves to change things. It's not something to be, it's not a bragging right. That's why we're getting it wrong. And thinking about this whole thing, I've come up with 4 reasons why we are suffering and dying in silence. Number 1 is the I pass my neighbor mentality. Nigerians are so cool with the fact that they are not the worst hit. Whatever happens, as long as I'm not the worst hit, I'm not the worst affected, then everything is fine. And that is the problem. And I think this problem stems from the fact that Nigerians typically work hard. We work hard every day, sweat day and night, not because we want to be better people or better version of ourselves. We want to be better than we were yesterday. No, not because of that, but because we are struggling to be better than the next person, or at least not to be left behind by people who are also making a living. We don't want to be left behind in poverty, so we are trying to catch up. And what that mindset does to us is that once we are able to be a bit stable, that we are not the worst affected by whatever is happening in the country, then we are okay. And that is why we are still where we are. The moment we start thinking about being better people, being better than yesterday, and not necessarily comparing ourselves to other people, that's when we can actually demand change to actually be better people. The second one is over-religiousness and mental laziness. This what God cannot do does not exist mentality, God can do everything for you. That's the problem with Nigerians. Yes, I believe we are very smart people. We are really smart. We are in fact, our IQ levels are some of the highest in the world, as Nigerians, because we are making things happen in different sectors of the globe. Nigerians are almost in every country doing big things. But then there is a problem. And this problem hinders our ability to maximize our mental potentials, The belief that God can do everything for us. That's the problem. God cannot give you the brain to think, the ability to decide, and the willingness to make things happen. God cannot give you the free will and everything else and still come down from heaven to do certain things for you. You got to take the initiative yourself in certain situations and actually make things happen. That's why God created you in His image and likeness. The moment God created you in His image and likeness is the moment God gave you ability to do everything. So you cannot just leave everything to God to do for you. And that's where you get phrases like God's time is the best. That's where those phrases come from. And that is not what we need as a people in this country at this point in time. And now the sad part is that these teachings have stuck in our brain. And now we find ourselves in a situation where, APC, we do all manner of nonsense. The government of the day, we literally shit in our mouth and we still swallow it and trust in God that God will remove the shit from our mouth, where we actually have the tools to go out there and demand our rights. That's the problem. We have everything it takes to actually bring this government to its knees. The third reason why we are suffering in silence is that we've been traumatized as a people. For instance, during the endsars protest, when ordinary protests that we went out to actually demand our right, which is the right thing, we were killed. And subsequent times, whenever we want to protest, we are being attacked brutally, gruesomely by armed authorities who we are also actually protesting for, who we are trying to actually make their lives better. They kill us, they threaten us, and that is the third reason I think why we are now kind of mentally defeated because whenever we remember what will happen whenever we go out to protest, most of us would rather step back and, try to find other alternative, or maybe, strengthen ourselves, tell ourselves things like, after all, we are not the worst hit. It's part of the trauma that we've been suffering over the years. Like, the fact is that the undemocratic democracy under this APC has made protests and revolts and other ways of demanding for what is right virtually impossible. The number fourth reason is the one I deem the most important of all, why we are where we are and why we are suffering in silence, is that it's ethnic bigotry. Our diversity as a country should ordinarily have made us stronger, made us, stronger when it comes to demanding for what is right. But instead, it has caused division. You can take, for instance, the 2023 general election, where people voted according to ethnic lines. Some people voted for a man who, during the campaign, told them that he will make life harder for them, when he said, I will decrease the purchasing power of the people by imposing more and more, by widening the tax nets. Literally, someone who said this during the campaign was someone who some people voted for because he is from their ethnic group. We cannot succeed as a country with that mentality. And this same bigotedness, this same ethnic division is why some good-thinking Nigerians, some well-meaning Nigerians cannot come out to protest, because they believe that when they come out to protest, some people who supported this government and are still supporting this government and will still support this government in 2027. Those kind of people will come out and mark the protest. So you cannot just come out and protest when there are people who are obviously in support of the evil that is going on just because of ethnicity. That is the major problem, and that is why when certain things happen, we tend not to come out and demand for what is right, because there is division. There are people out there who will come and hijack the protest, mess the protest up, and scatter everything. And that is why we are suffering. And that is why we will remain here. Nigeria can only work, to be honest. Nigeria can only work when everybody unites and pursue this common cause of actually demanding change. I still wonder if that will ever happen, because these people seem determined to cause suffering for everybody. They seem determined to actually allow everybody suffer just because their ethnic group is in power. That shouldn't be how we are thinking. We shouldn't be thinking that way as people. Like in the 21st century, primordial sentiment shouldn't be our driving force. These politicians are the reason why we are divided. They keep bringing up this ethnic card to actually keep us divided, so we can't demand for what is right. And that is why we will remain where we are until we come together and demand for a change as one people, not as many nationalities. Thank you.